Welcome to the show.
This is The Adults Are Talking, and today we're talking about...
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, where do we even begin on this?
Ugh, I know.
I don't even know what to say, really, because, he was such a prominent person in everyone's life, whether you agree to him or not.
Yeah.
He was on the news a lot. He was on social media, and a lot of people knew who he was. I didn't follow him too much just because he wasn't someone I followed. I didn't necessarily disagree with anything in particular that he said, other than just, he was very much on his Christian path, which I respect. I'm not a Christian, but that's not... So I didn't follow him that closely.
Yeah.
I know you kind of followed a little.
Yeah, I follow him on Facebook. So while it was happening, I was getting feeds from because he had posted earlier that day. So I was getting stuff in, and then from stuff from a day ago or whatever that I hadn't looked at. So it was crazy because I was like, oh my gosh, he's dead. And I'm still getting like his stuff. You know what I mean? It still kept trickling in.
Yeah.
And it was pretty messed up. But yeah, I have friends that know him, I agreed with mostly what he said, obviously politically. I'm not a Christian. So I had some disagreements with him theologically, but not that far off, to be quite honest.
Right.
He obviously believes in Judeo-Christian values, and I'm that. So,
And something we didn't know that was revealed after he was murdered was that, he also was keeping and observing the biblical, traditional, I guess you want to call it, Old Testament Sabbath on Saturday.
Yeah.
Not the way that most Jews might. He kind of did it in his own ways, but he understood the significance, and I guess he was also writing a book about it.
Yeah.
Dedicated to Prager. It's called Stop in the Name of God, How Observing the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. So he was definitely growing his understanding of the Bible, and good for him.
Yeah.
And good for everyone who, as a result of this, is returning to the faith that they were taught or that they grew up with, or returning to a faith in general, a new faith.
Yeah.
But just returning to God. I've been reading so many things online, and you have also.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're just flooded with information and people's posts that are just, it's like the Holy Spirit has just shaken and moved so quickly through the world, not even just among the believing community, through the world. I mean, people are affected in Israel over this, and other countries in Europe and England. Obviously, they had their 3 million march this past weekend in his honor.
Yeah. It's incredible. And of course, the Lord is allowing his death to impact the world in such a way.
Yeah.
Just like it did when Yeshua was murdered.
Yeah.
And also, I believe that in our country and the world, we have a new ACBC, or BCAC. We will be viewing our world, I believe, especially here in America, how things were before Charlie and after Charlie.
Well, here's the thing, and this is on a personal level, but when we first heard he got shot, you yelled it out to me. And then we got the news that he was alive. So like many people in this country, you and I began praying hard. And for it was about 15 minutes till we got confirmation he was dead. So I was sobbing. I've never sobbed so hard for anyone I didn't personally know in my life, or at least for a famous person. I know a lot of people have that same sentiment. And I think the reason why I took it so hard was I'm praying and praying and praying. And then we get the news. And we knew other people were across because it was X was
Everyone.
flooded
Right.
with politicians. Everybody, even on the left or Democrats, were like, pray, pray, pray. So we're all just praying. Anyone that believed any kind of prayer or well wishes work. So you got all these people praying, and then all of a sudden he's just gone. And it was like this release of like, no, we collectively as a nation, as a world, were like fighting and pleading to God for this. And then it was just like, nope,
We all collectively felt the death.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all felt that death together.
Yeah.
And
well, we watched it, unfortunately, because that's just the age we live in. We had our JFK moment where we all just saw it. Some people saw it real time. Some people saw it a little delayed, but we all unfortunately saw the murder happen
right
before our eyes. And then we just all were experiencing trying to, like I said, reach out to the Lord, and then it's just gone,
And a lot of people criticize prayer during these times. Prayer doesn't save people. Prayer, what are your prayers for? They're useless. Why, we need more than prayers. And yeah, I mean, there's some people who believe that only prayer, no medical attention should be administered. And that's not right. That's not consistent with the Bible. Because the Bible specifically outlines different medical procedures to follow when someone is infected with what's it? Sarat, the
leprosy.
The leprosy that comes from evil speak. Now, the Bible understands that medical illness is a reflection oftentimes of what's happening in the spirit, and so there also needs to be attention given to the spiritual condition of that person.
Yeah.
But prayers are important during these times because it's connecting us to our source.
Yes.
Which is God.
Yes.
And we don't always understand what God is doing in the world, just like children don't always understand why their father is doing something.
Yeah.
They see things and they think that, oh, maybe this is something bad. And in reality, it may be something that's good for them in the long run.
Yeah.
So it connects us to our source, and it brings us to a place where we can rejuvenate our hope and our ability to keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, we see movies and footage of soldiers in battle, and how do they get through those times? They connect to one another, to their commanders, to their training, in order that they can carry on in the midst of such horrendous conditions.
Yeah. And we all know, we've seen movies, we see real time of American soldiers with crucifixes on them in their pockets, or a prayer in there, something. And you see with the Israelis at IDF, they have kippahs they keep on their heads, or wear tzitzits, or they some carry even little mini Torahs and stuff, and that's to remind them of the ultimate protector, God. Sometimes he allows tragedy to happen, but it they still have that connection while they're in battle, too, because they know they could die, or or watch somebody die,
Right. And make no mistake, the responsible party here for this is the psycho liberal trans activist who decided, this is exactly what happens when you disconnect from prayer, when you disconnect from a source, and you tap into hopelessness, and you tap into desperation, and you tap into hatred and vengeance
Yeah.
and everything the Bible warns against.
Yeah.
When you tap into death, if you're not tapping into God, you're tapping into death.
Yeah.
And you're either going, this guy wanted death.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it's their own death that they do. And in this case, it was the death of Charlie that he was after.
Yeah.
And so, that's what these people are tapping into. When you see these trans flags, when you see the rainbow flags, they're tapping into death. And they're either going to look for it in themselves or outwardly from someone else. They're
Yeah, because they can't just be happy just living their lives. Because most people just want to live their lives. Most of us are somewhat, selfish inside. We're all like that. You don't really care. Obviously there's, you kind of worry about your own stuff and you don't really care and you don't really want to know people's personal business to that level. And yet they take it so personally. Like there's no end to the dissatisfaction of society on them. It's like, there's no laws being taken away from, just go live your life, but that's not enough.
Right.
It's like, I have my religion, but I don't push it on other people. It's just like, my whole thing is just let me live my life. Let me do my thing. Let me do my Shabbat on Friday to Saturday. Let me, spin my dreidels and do all my stuff. Just let me do my thing. And I won't say boo about you, just live. Live. But their whole thing is like, live like this or die. Like, what?
Right,
what kind of life is that?
The thing about Charlie, and we talked about this the other day, is that, he was a prophet.
Yes.
And he was a prophet not because he could predict the future. That's not necessarily what prophets did, even though that they did do that sometimes in the Bible. But a prophet was someone who would take the message of truth to the people.
Yes.
And oftentimes they were chased out of town. People tried to kill them. Sometimes they did kill them.
Yeah.
But that's what prophets do. Their job was to take the message from God and take it to the people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's exactly what Charlie did. And he took it to people who some might say didn't deserve it. Didn't deserve that message. I wouldn't have gone. Charlie's a better person than me for wanting to engage with a lot of those losers. But he did. He was offering them the truth. And people say, well, he was speaking words of hate. No. And he hated these people that he spoke about. Listen, if you're speaking truth to someone, you don't hate them.
Right.
And the proof is, by speaking truth to someone, you're causing them to stop and think about and giving them a chance to course correct.
Yeah.
If you really hate someone, if you really don't care, you stay quiet and let them continue on their road to destruction. Just like the quote says, if your enemy is making a mistake, don't interrupt them.
Yeah.
But that's not what Charlie did. Charlie interrupted them.
Mm-hmm.
He rebuked them.
Yeah.
Was grabbing their attention and wanting them to course correct before it was too late.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, the truth can hurt, but just like a parent with a child, you don't just let your kid do whatever the heck they want. You warn them of danger. You warn them of, you kind of help them. And he was warning people, he was trying to, a lot of Christians that are very devout evangelical are warning people of their sin and want to save souls. They're trying to save souls and try to guide them on the right path. And with his discussions and debates, he was trying to get them to critically think. He didn't necessarily tell them what to think. He was guiding them into, think this way, maybe. Think about this, maybe.
Have you considered this?
Yeah.
That can't be true because this. Right. And for a lot of people, that's considered hate.
Yeah.
And another thing that's been going around is that Israel was the cause. For me, this is worse than what liberals are doing. At least the liberals are honest about being evil.
Yeah.
But this is an evil disguised as friend of Charlie.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is evil disguised as a friend of conservative values.
Yeah.
To disparage Israel this way.
Yeah.
First of all, what we know of Charlie, if Charlie didn't say it himself of Israel, then, and you're saying something else, then, you're hijacking his whole person, his whole message for your own personal gain.
Yeah.
And it's just really disgusting.
And now's not the time to do it. Like, people are still mourning. His body hasn't even been put into the ground yet, and it's just disgusting and disturbing because to me, it's just demonic.
Exactly.
Because there's even people on the left that are now like, wait, what? Like, I think Dave Smith, like, is even like, what the? No, like, this has gone too far.
So Charlie's the big critic of Israel that Israel had to eliminate. There's no one bigger critic than than Charlie Kirk that Israel had to get rid of.
Oh my gosh.
It's just the stupidest thing.
It makes no sense because some of his closest friends are Zionists, Mark Levin, Dennis Prager, the list could go on and on and on. And they're all like baffled by this weird mudslinging that's happening.
His own pastor has called out to people to please stop. This is not true.
Yeah. Yeah. And his employees. I read on X that his employees are getting death threats. And some of them are Jewish. And they're just like, what the heck is going on? Like, just stop. Like, just leave it alone.
But, this oftentimes happens in the death of a family member or a friend. There are arguments about who this person was and what they should receive after death. And this isn't exactly like that, but
it has elements of it.
Yeah. But this is taking that and just totally perverting that because, it's not because, this isn't two family members arguing over what kind of, burial they should receive.
Right.
Or, he didn't like this, he didn't like that. This is, disparaging
their character.
Their character and a pillar of the message that he taught.
Yeah.
All this that he taught is based on the Bible, and he believed the Bible the way the founders did, and understood God's love for Israel.
Yeah.
People understand that Israel and the Jewish people are not perfect, and that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point, is that God loves them and continues to choose them in spite of their imperfectness.
Right.
That's the whole message.
Right.
That's the whole message that a lot of these anti-Semitic Christians are ignoring.
Mm-hmm.
That they talk about God's love, but how else is God's love going to be demonstrated except for someone who is unworthy?
Yeah.
Just look at everything that goes on in this world. Is it worthy of continuing to exist?
Yeah.
Yet it does.
Right. Exactly.
So it's something to think about for anyone who wants to honor Charlie's memory, which so many are. We hear so many stories of people going back to church.
Yeah.
Jews going back to their faith. I just read one today. I'm going back to synagogue. I'm going to get married. I'm going to start following mitzvot, commandments.
Yeah.
Even
Laura Loomer, who's not religious at all, has admitted she's been shooken by this so hard that it does make her think more about God, and the unity of people, like the spirituality, like it's really rocked the world to the core because he's a martyr, it's simple as that.
Yeah. And this is only going to amplify his message and his impact in the world. It's not going to diminish it. And so,
And obviously, um, his organization is going to keep moving forward. They've got like tremendous momentum on them now. They got a lot more supports financially and physically. So we'll see. And I think there's a lot of people going to carry. It's not going to be one person. It's a movement that's going to carry on
right.
of millions of people that are, for his legacy, but not just for individually. They've been so affected by this, and their connection now rekindling with their connection with God.
And I think that's why those attacks are coming out against Israel, because, people like Tucker and Candace are paid to attack Israel.
Yeah.
And so they know that this Charlie movement is going to become so big and so relevant and powerful that the people who sponsor them say, desperately don't want Israel to be part of this movement.
Right, right.
And so that's, I think, what stems from a lot of those anti-Semitic attacks is that, they have to divorce Israel from Charlie and try to separate Israel from this Charlie movement, which is going to be.
But you can't, because the two countries are friends, and they're in a lot of things together, like this war on Hamas. They're now intertwined, So
the U.S.
and Israel. So it goes to so many levels, politically, nationally, spiritually, religiously. There's just so many levels of it, and history too. So good luck with that, guys. But the truth always prevails, and the light always shines.
Yeah, it's not the first time people have tried to divorce God from the God message.
Yeah.
It first started with the actual Jewish people in the Bible. They tried to have the God message without God.
Yeah.
And, God sent Yeshua, Jesus, to try to get them back, to teach people the true way of how to serve God. That's why Yeshua says no one gets to the Father except through me, because he was teaching them the completeness of the law and the right way to follow God. And now we've seen Christianity do that. They try to have the God message without its source, the root, which Paul warns against.
Yeah.
Don't think that, that God won't, break off the unnatural branches. Look what he's done to the natural branches.
And we see it in modern day or in recent history. Look at MLK. When they teach in schools now, he was a great civic leader. But you know what they always fail to mention in the public schools?
What?
He's a preacher.
Oh.
He's a man of God.
Yeah.
This came from that. He quoted the Bible constantly in his speeches. There was never a speech without God in it.
He was also a Zionist, I believe.
He was a Zionist. And they completely glossed that over. And it's like, that's his foundation. That's what made him stand up to that.
Yeah.
Harriet Beecher Stowe, who wrote, her famous book, deeply religious, started in her day as a woman, never was a slave, but as a well-off woman of her time, especially since she was black, started Christian universities. That's never talked about because, it's Christian. It's Christian.
Yeah,
her book
religious.
Is riddled with Christianity and why slavery was bad from a religious standpoint, a moral standpoint. Where do you think morality comes from? So they always try to wash that away.
I'm sending good vibes. Sending good energy. The only thing that works is prayer.
Right.
And you can't love the Bible and hate the people of it.
Yes.
You can't love salvation and hate Yeshua's true heritage.
Yeah.
Because they're all connected.
Yeah.
They're all connected. And that's something I think Charlie's lasting message is that we're all connected and we all need to talk to one another. because there's, as much as Elon Musk tries, this is the only planet we're going to live on, and we all got to share it together.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
So don't forget to like and subscribe.
And thanks for listening.